Hey there, this is Josh Thomas on the campus of Huntington University. You're listening to Rooted, an in-depth conversation with interesting people and topics that matter to the Forrester family. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify. You can find us by searching Forrester Radio Rooted. Today I am joined by Micah McFadden. Micah, thanks for joining me.
Hey Josh, how are you, my friend?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's a beautiful day. We're kind of in that temperature where it's like right in between getting real cold and like being like warm outside. And I just love it. It's like the perfect sweater weather.
Yeah, it's my favorite weather of the year. I like to wear flannels, so.
It's a good choice. You do look great in them.
Thank you. So what is your academic year and what is your major?
So I am a senior at Huntington University and I am a film production major. So I spend a lot of time in Becker.
Nice. And what is your favorite beverage besides water?
So I guess my mind first went to like sodas and, you know, I like Dr. Pepper, I like Coca-Cola, but now I'm going to kind of like separate myself from soda for a second. You know, I'm reformed, you know, I'm not trying to like drink too much soda. A good glass of chocolate milk, you know, is just about my favorite thing. You can't go wrong. You can go wrong with chocolate milk, but like a really quality chocolate milk just hits the spot. Just so good.
Yeah, the chocolate milk they have, the DC is usually pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Have you ever had Oberweis chocolate milk?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's like, it comes in this glass. It's great. You got to try it sometime.
Okay, I will have to do that. So why did you decide to come to HU?
So it was actually, it's kind of a funny story. I heard about HU from a family member. When I was in high school, I was going on like just trying to do the college visit, you know, tour of. I was with my dad, and we were just trying to hit as many colleges as we could, just to get a good, you know, idea of what's around. Where could I go? Mm-hmm. And one of my family members was like, "Hey, have you heard of HU? I hear they have a great film program." And I was like, "I've never heard of this place before. I don't even like. It's in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. You know, I'm like, what type of college in the middle of Indiana is going to have a good film program?" And so my dad and I were basically like, you know what? We're just going to drive out there, get the free t-shirt and, you know, bounce. And when I got here, I was just really blown away by the program. Was guided on a tour by Lance Clark, the professor, and kind of the head of the whole department. And it just kind of blew my mind. And the fact that this school kind of stacked up against really high level colleges in, you know, Chicago and, you know, some other, you know, big places for film schools. Yeah, it was really impressive. So that's kind of what ended up making me decide Huntington, because it had a great program and it was smaller.
So how did you know that film was what you wanted to pursue?
So ever since I was a little kid, I really loved film. I always love watching movies, but even more than that, I love making movies. And so ever since I was a little kid, me and my really good friend and my brother would just film as many movies as possible. And we just had this old VHS camera, you know, and we would shoot it, and we couldn't like offload it onto anything to edit it. We would shoot it and we'd stop it on the VHS, and then we'd get to the next shot that we wanted and we'd start shooting again. And it was funny because we'd shoot these movies and we'd just watch it right on the camera. And then we would go back when we filled up the tape, and we didn't have another tape. And so we'd just record over the old movies and just make new movies. So none of those movies are saved anywhere.
No.
All of them are kind of just lost in space. But yeah, there was something about that creative outlet of filmmaking that I always loved. And I always kind of got that, you know, I kind of always wanted to pursue film. I think like I was always like, I kind of want to be a director. I kind of want to like do something with the camera, because I enjoyed it. And I always got that question of like from family members or like, you know, family friends in the church when they'd ask like what I was going to do for college or like where I was going after high school. And I'd say, you know, I'm pursuing film, and they're like, yeah, but like, you know, what are you actually going to do? And And it was always like, I don't know. I mean, this is where I'm feeling called to. I really feel like this is my area of just where I've been gifted. And I just have this passion and love for film that has really just pushed me to continue to make stuff. And, you know, I've got, as soon as I'm done, a job lined up in Tennessee. I'm an editor. And so, yeah, just a lot of affirmation in terms of just where I'm headed right now. So, I mean, who knows? Could change. The Lord can just completely shift everything. But right now, you know, I've been very blessed and very affirmed in the direction of film. So,
yeah. What leadership position do you currently hold?
Well, Josh, I am currently your RA.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. I should know that.
I am the RA on your floor. And is this just all leadership positions I'm in, or just specifically RA you want to know?
Specifically RA.
Yeah.
I think so.
So I am an RA on Baker Second. This is my second year being an RA for that floor. And it is great. I love it. I love being the RA of that floor. What a bunch of guys that are just fantastic.
And he is one of the best RAs to RA.
Settle down. I'm just a normal little guy.
So, what is involved with that position?
Yeah. So it's the RA is kind of a job that in most cases is looked at, and especially in like other schools, I feel like the RA is kind of usually just like, oh man, that's the cop. You know, that's the guy who's, you know, gonna call us out on like doing something really dumb, you know, or like whatever. But here I've been really intentional, and especially with Baker Second. Baker Second has such a specific culture, and a culture that is kind of kept up over the past, I think, 20 years. There's a lot of culture there. And so part of my job is just upholding that culture and kind of really leaning into the guys. As RA, I'm just making sure everyone on the floor is getting by and knowing they're loved. And I guess my job as RA is just making sure all the guys on the floor are cared for, while also just really creating a culture of love amongst the guys and community. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's because, again, you can describe RA as just like they're kind of just the leadership on the floor. They're kind of the ones keeping everything in track. But I think Baker Second's a really special place in that we really are community oriented. And I guess my job is just to kind of push that forward.
Yeah, the RAs are kind of like the parents of the floor. They're there to love on their floor mates and just to, you know, help support them. And
exactly. And, you know, occasionally call you guys out on when you do something real dumb.
What? Nobody ever does anything dumb on Baker Second.
Never. It's never happened. Baker Second is pristine.
It's the perfect floor. It's always perfectly clean, and
there's never any dishes in the sink.
Never.
And no one's ever jumping off anything or tipping couches over or anything like that.
We have a lot of fun.
We do have a lot of fun on Baker Second. Baker Second is the best floor. Shout out to Baker Second. That's all.
Definitely. I concur. What made you decide to be in that position?
Yeah. So for me, it was, it really was a level of, I kind of recognized how important, especially for freshmen, having a quality RA that cares about them and cares about community and culture, how important that is to a floor and how important it is when you're first stepping into college. I think like the RA position is such a key leadership position and a key like figurehead of what it looks like to exist on campus and to exist in college. And so if you got a good RA, you've got someone who's, you know, you can look up to and be like, okay, like, you know, this is good. That college is good, you know? And so I guess for me, it was a lot of, man, I think that the position of RA is so important. And I think that's a position that like I could do really well because I do love this floor and I do love community and keeping up culture. And so I applied for RA. I got the position last year, and I did a year with graduated other co-RA, Raman, the greatest man alive. He is my inspiration in just about everything I do.
We do miss him dearly on the floor.
We do miss him dearly on the floor. But and then this year it's a goofier situation because we've kept up a culture on Baker's Second. No one's left. And so we only have one freshman on the floor, which is it's a great time. But it is like, okay, I'm not going to approach this year the same way I did last year, where it was trying to create an environment for freshmen, trying to create an environment for the people there. This year, it's trying to like uphold and not become apathetic, and not let the floor become apathetic to the community and culture that we've really driven with Baker's Second. So I guess that's my job this year. That's why I'm doing it this year, is because I love this floor. I love this community, and I want to uphold that.
What is your favorite aspect of the position?
My favorite aspect of the position is I really do. There's two levels. One level is, man, leading some of these events is just about the most fun thing on the planet, where, we have our Baker's Second camp out. We have the Baker's Second Bachelor, like just goofy events, but also really meaningful events where we're able to grow and fellowship and just as a floor really connect more. So I love that aspect. I love that aspect of, again, I've said this a ton, but just, upholding the community that we have as friends and as brothers on the floor. But the second level is, man, I just really love being able to love on all the guys on the floor and just really, in any way I can, love them, and hopefully be the hands and feet of Christ to the guys on the floor. So,
yeah, a lot of the events that you guys run are very fun. It's always fun when all of Baker gets together to do something.
Even just something as goofy as like going to, what was it last year when we went to, was it Red Robin?
Oh, I don't think I could go on that one, but yeah.
That was a mess of a night, but yeah, even just going out for dinner is always an event, we have traditions where, 5 p.m. dinner is, that's dinner call. We're all getting out there. We're all getting to dinner. We all eat together. We all sit at the same table for dinner. And again, it's just special things like that where we're really intentional, and just that dinner time is specifically set aside for the guys of the floor, and we're able to all be together.
Yeah. There was also, we went to go see the Batman, the early premiere.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome.
Got the Bat calzone from Little Caesars.
We literally went to Little Caesars, which was far away from the theater, and we got the Batman calzone, which was fine. It was good. Mm-hmm. And then we saw an early showing of the Batman. That was awesome. That was such a good time.
It's a great movie. I really enjoyed going to it with the boys.
Yeah. And again, most of Baker's Second, we're a bunch of nerds. We're a bunch of goofballs. And that kind of adds to the fun of it, is it's like we're all very comfortable with being ourselves. There's no, guard of like, oh man, I feel like I need to be something else for these people. It really is like, or at least I hope, obviously I'm RA now. I hope that we've instilled a community where it's like, you feel free to be yourself and feel free to love the things you love and share it with people. Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable doing that on the floor.
For sure.
Because I can be pretty weird at times.
We're all really weird on the floor.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, Baker's Second is just a weird floor. We got weird people.
How has faith impacted your leadership style?
Man, I was kind of hitting on this just a second ago, but I really, in any way that I can lead like Christ, is really important to me. Just again, that idea of being the hands and feet of Christ to the body of Baker's Second is so important to me, and that really just leans into loving our neighbor, and yeah, my intention is I I am loving each and every one of these guys as best as I can, as much like Christ as I can, because, Christ loved us, and loves us. And my faith and my relationship with Jesus, I hope to instill, my walk with Christ on the floor, and never to hide that. You know what I mean? Like, obviously there are guys on the floor who aren't Christians. And there are guys on the floor who are Christians. But I really do just hope that, whoever they are, whoever's on the floor, whether they're a Christian or not, can see that I am so intentional in loving each of them, like Christ loves us.
Yeah. I definitely see that through your leadership on the floor.
Thank you, Josh.
What challenges have you faced as a student leader, and how did you overcome them?
You want the easy answer or the hard answer?
I think we can go for the hard answer.
All right. Honestly, I have struggled. Honestly, the biggest area of struggle for me in leadership has been frustrations with the university itself. Different little things that have just been very frustrating over time, and just kind of like recognizing, obviously, like, I love Huntington University, but recognizing it's not a perfect campus and it has its issues. And there have been times where it's like, man, like, I feel awkward, being in a position where I'm in major leadership for Huntington University when I don't always agree with everything that Huntington does. And I had a great conversation with my RD last year, Lauren, she's no longer an RD here. She left. But I had a great conversation with her where I was kind of like saying some of this stuff. It was a lot of like last year, just trying to be like, okay, like I'm trying to figure out if I want to do another year, because the big thing is it's my senior year. I don't want to like go into that year and just do it because I'm just doing it. And I don't want to do it if I know I'm just going to become apathetic and not care for the floor. And especially with my frustrations with different things in the school and whatnot. And she was just really clear with me, just in the aspect of, like, she said to me, like, Micah, you don't serve the school. She's like, you're not even serving me. She's like, you're doing this, and you should do this to be serving your residents and serving the guys on your floor. And that kind of really made me do a 180 of my perspective on even just the RA position of like, man, like, yeah, I work for Huntington University. Yeah, I have different bosses and whatnot. But the reason I'm in this job is not to serve Huntington University and be its like whatever. My job is to serve the guys on my floor and to make sure that they are loved. And so I think that was a difficult thing I struggled with last year. And there are still struggles where it's like, man, I don't agree with everything Huntington does, but as long as I'm in this position, I'm going to love the guys on my floor because that's my job. And that's what I've been called to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not trying to say like Huntington University is perfect and everything it does is absolutely correct. You're just here to, I'm kind of repeating what you said, but like, because no place is perfect.
No, it's
and
not.
You're not going to just like say, no, that wasn't a big deal. Like when things are wrong, you're going to call them, like, maybe not call them out publicly, but like,
yeah,
you're not just going to say like, oh no, just ignore that. Like,
yeah. Well, and again, like, I'm not saying I'm just like abandoning the job of like what an RA does, where it's like, if someone has alcohol on the floor, I'm like, obviously that's a situation where we need to deal with it. And like, whatever, it's not like I'm just here to love the people. I don't care what you guys do on the floor. Like, obviously I really care about everything, and I still have this job, but it is, I think my main goal as RA is not to serve Huntington, but to serve the guys and the people of Huntington University. Mm-hmm. And so I hope I do an all right job at that.
I think you do.
Hey, thank you.
Who is an individual who inspired or impacted you in some way?
My pops, my dad. my dad is just about like the pinnacle of what I would love to be, and just I look up to him a lot. He's just such a fantastic representation of what it looks like to be a Christ follower, and also just someone who's really intentional with people, really intentional about creativity and art, someone who's really intentional about their relationship with God. And then there was a fourth one. What was it? Another intentional thing. I don't remember what it was. He's just, again, he is, man, obviously no one's perfect. Obviously everyone has their flaws, but my dad, it really is someone that I genuinely, if there's anyone that I could imitate that's here on earth right now, that, and yeah, Jesus is here on earth, and Jesus. Yeah. Let's try that again. If there's anyone that I could, be more like besides Jesus, it is my dad. And because he is just such a fantastic representation of what it looks like to be like Christ and to love people well.
Yeah. So I know you just got done over this last weekend.
I did.
You just got done filming a senior film. Can you give us any details about that?
I can. Yeah. No, it was a very quick turnaround from the beginning of the semester. We just made a film called Milo. It is in post-production now. We're editing it together. But yeah, it's a film about forgiveness, really focusing in on that. And, how do we forgive people who have done things to us that have hurt us so deeply or so unforgivably, that was kind of my focus of at least themes that I was trying to hit with it. But the story, the plot line is, you got this washed up child actor who, falls asleep watching one of his old episodes, like a rerun of his old episodes. And he's transported into this dream where he's guided by his old puppet co-star on the TV show. And he's guided through a lot of events in his life. Very, Muppets Christmas Carol-esque. And it's about reconciling with memories of his mom, and just kind of the person who kind of pushed him to be in the position of like child actor. So that's kind of like, it's much harder for me to describe than it will be to just show you once it's done, Josh, and everyone else who's listening to this. But yeah, no, it was a great shoot. We had a crew of about 25 people, all in different positions. We hired actors from all over the area. We hired an actor from Chicago, and we got him down here. And yeah, it was the smoothest set I've ever been on. And it was just so fun to see something I've written just kind of come to life. And I'm very excited for the edit. That should be done in December for festing. So great shoot. I'm exhausted from it. But I'm done with the hard part, which was getting all the pre-production and production done with.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
I'm excited for you to see it.
And thank you, Micah, for joining me on this episode of Rooted.
Josh, thank you so much for having me. And I love you. And I'm grateful to have you as my resident on Baker Second.
Thank you. And thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And remember, you can listen to Forrester Radio over the air in Huntington on 105.5 WQHU, or stream us anytime, anywhere on forresterradio.com.